One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Today's One Question is with Syracuse Athletic Director John Wildhack, who's been on the job now with the Orange for a couple of months. And John, I'm really curious to get your opinion and your view on a topic that's very top of mind for me as it pertains to TV ratings. And while it is the NFL and we're through 6 weeks of the season and ratings by and large across the board are down, there are windows like Fox's Sunday afternoon window that looks to be even with last year, but a number of other windows, including Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, are struggling compared to last year. The question for you is, if this trend continues for the NFL, let's say through this season, into and or through next season, what is the possible trickle-down effect of how, whether it be advertisers or networks who want to renegotiate deals with the NFL given lower ratings, what trickle-down effect could that situation have on college athletics?
Well, I think a couple of things. It will be very interesting to watch and study closely NFL ratings after the election, because we're obviously in the midst of the most polarizing election that we've experienced in modern times and clearly the most unpredictable campaign that we've ever seen. And I think that's clearly had an impact on NFL ratings. Clearly, the Monday night game, Atlanta-New Orleans, went head-to-head with the first debate. So, that rating was severely impacted by going head-to-head with the debate. So I think before anybody jumps to conclusions, I think you really need to study the second half of the season from mid-November on. And I think that may give a better barometer. And not only study the television rating, but also the overall consumption of NFL. I know ESPN continues to see outstanding numbers and outstanding growth through the ESPN app and watch ESPN as other entities do as well. So I think it's too early to be dismissive of the decline of NFL ratings. That this is a harbinger of things to come. The NFL is still the most popular and powerful form of content there is in this country. And I think it'll continue to occupy that mantle for a long period of time. In terms of its impact on college sports, I think in some respects college football is more popular than ever. I think the advent of the 4-team playoff, I think how the teams are selected through the selection committee. The selection committee has equity in the eyes of sports fans and college football fans, where frankly the BCS system did not have equity with fans. So I think the leadership of college football addressed that smartly. And I think, we're seeing tremendous ratings. We saw a big rating for the Ohio State-Wisconsin game. We saw, a big number opening week for Notre Dame, Texas. CBS continued to pull a big number with Alabama, Tennessee on Saturday. So I think college football, is which has had a sustained growth over the past 10 years in terms of popularity and consumption and television viewing. I think college football is in a great place.
And John, clarify for everybody who listens to this series and those who read D1 Ticker, because Nielsen and the science of ratings, of course, can be somewhat confusing. You've got the rating, you've got the share, as you mentioned, consumption, and by and large, from what we read about the NFL, is consumption in mass is the same as it's been for the NFL in past seasons, but the time people are spending per game has gone down, which certainly impacts the rating. But when you use the term, John, a big number, what is a big national number? Like, what's that threshold for you?
Yeah, I think, if you look at, the late afternoon window's been the most watched window. The late afternoon Sunday window in the NFL for the past 10 years, followed by Sunday night and then followed by Monday night and Thursday night. So, those numbers, when you're in double digits and or high single digits into the 14, 15, 16 range. I mean, those are big numbers. And again, not only the overall numbers, but also who is watching and the demographics of the audience. Sports continues to produce an upscale audience. NFL fans, 47% NFL fans are women, so the NFL clearly is appealing to women as well as men. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens post-election with the NFL.
And when we talk about a college big number, you mentioned Texas, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Wisconsin, which was just last Saturday. I'm thinking, what's that range of a big number? 5 to 8? Is that a big number?
I think when you're in the 4.5 to a 7.5 to an 8, I mean that's right now that's a big number for a college football regular season game. And again, part of college football is if you aggregate the total audience over the course of a weekend, a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, between the ESPN networks, between the Fox networks, between CBS, between NBC when they have a Notre Dame game. I mean, I've not seen that number, but the overall consumption of college football is enormous.
So one of the topics within the college football game that certainly is getting a lot of play and has for the last couple seasons, not just this season, but is the length of the games. And apples to apples, certainly an NFL game is shorter than college football. Is that an issue you think is a real one? And what can be done to address shortening and making college football games more efficient?
Well, I think length of game is important, but equally important is the pace of a game. You can have a 3-hour game or a 3-hour and 10-minute game, but if the pace is, if it's a choppy pace, it may not be something that's real pleasing to witness in person or watch. Where you can have a 3-hour and 30-minute game, and if there's just a great flow, a great rhythm to that game, fans in the stands or fans at home aren't sitting there looking at their watch and saying, "Oh my God, this game's 3.5 hours." They're sitting in the stands or sitting at home saying, "Wow, this is a terrific football game." So, I think sometimes the length of the game might be accentuated too much. Where I think the pace and the flow of the game, I think is fairly important. I think for us in college football, we've always need to be cognizant. Obviously, the style of play has changed dramatically over the past 10 years, and we should continuously be challenging ourselves on how we improve the pace, how we improve the flow of the game, and then related to that is the length of the game, and that's all facets of it.
So let me ask a couple of quick questions on your early tenure at Syracuse. Has anything stuck out as super surprising to you on how college athletics operates? Although I know you probably had a pretty good handle on that already, or the ins and outs day to day of being in a department. Is anything majorly different than what you expected going into it?
Yeah, I think, Matt, I was fortunate in the sense that, number one, I had been involved in the periphery of college sports, throughout all my career at ESPN. So I knew a lot of people, of commissioners, athletic directors, et cetera, NCAA people. So that clearly helped accelerate my transition. And I was familiar with Syracuse because I know a number of people here and have been involved with the university in other capacities. So that helped accelerate my onboarding process here as well. So I don't think it's been I've been on the job for 65 days and I've enjoyed it. It's awesome to be back on a college campus. There's a pulse and an atmosphere to a college campus which is incredibly unique. It's energizing. We have a great staff. We have a great group of coaches. The leadership team of the university has been very, very welcoming. So I've enjoyed it immensely.
When you're in ACC meetings now, John, given your long history and senior executive history at ESPN, when you guys are talking about TV or digital issues, does the spotlight quickly turn to you? Or I'm sure there's a great sharing of opinions, but you do have a base of experience that can speak well to where that marketplace is going. Have you found that to be an enjoyable experience with your peers?
Yeah, I have. And listen, there's some of the best athletic directors in the country reside in the ACC. So it would be foolish and inappropriate for me to walk into any meeting on any topic think that I may be the expert in the room. I'm there to learn from them, and where I can contribute, I am happy to contribute.
And that's today's one question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.